What has been your experience in regards to like pros and cons since you've been using it?
First few weeks of it was great, and then the last two it really dive bombed. And then I think the amount that I got in my accountant, granted this was the one that gives you access to up to $35,000.
Okay.
That one's the big one, like
Yeah.
the biggest one they have. Granted, you don't get all that money, just so you know. They take a percentage out of that, and then you also have to claim that on your taxes. So
Yeah.
just FYI, everybody.
A very similar experience to what I've had. It'll go great the first 2 weeks and maybe 3 weeks. And then after that, it's like, because I've actually looked at the math. Initially, I was getting about, for every 1,000 views, I was probably getting like $10 to $15. And then it cut down to like 35 cents.
Yeah.
I want to kind of have a little conversation. We were talking about Reels. I want to talk about your experience with the Reels bonus program. It's a hot, it's a hot topic. It's all over YouTube. Every time I mention it, I get a bunch of different information for everybody, but I get tons and tons of questions. So I want to get into the Instagram Reels bonus program. I've been on it for about a year now. Good and bad experience with it. Maybe we might have some similar take on it. How long have you had access to Instagram Reels bonus program?
I have probably had it since Adam or Sari addressed it and said that this was a thing, because I think I was one of the first people to start using it right away. But just so you all know that not everybody gets access to this. It doesn't matter how big of a following you have or how small or how often you post Reels. It's just, there's no rhyme or reason. They just let people have it, and then they take it away and they give it back. So don't feel bad if you don't.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not like it's something we could direct you to and say, okay, just sign up here and you'll immediately get it. They're not working like that. It is invite only. And from my understanding, I think it's just for a few different countries. I think they expanded outside the US, right?
I have a few clients in Canada that have access to it, but I don't know if they're beta or not with it, because you also have to think, Instagram takes taxes out and everything, and they're a United States based business and everything. So taxes and all that stuff translating to other countries, it could be like one of the things that's stopping them. Yeah,
that's a really good point. You've been on it since Adam and Sari basically announced it. You know, you got the hookup. What has been your experience in regards to like pros and cons since you've been using it?
So I've gone through 3 cycles of the program. The first one, it was really, I did awesome. My views were up there. I did post a little bit more than I normally do, just because you were getting paid for the views, and did great. The next time I did it, it significantly dropped my views. So I didn't do it again for a while. And then I redid it about 6 months ago, and it's same kind of thing where I noticed that my views were dropped. First few weeks of it was great, and then the last two it really dive bombed. And then I think the amount that I got in my accountant, granted this was the one that gives you access to up to $35,000.
Okay.
That one's the big one, like the biggest one they have. Granted, you don't get all that money, just so you know. They take a percentage out of that, and then you also have to claim that on your taxes. So just FYI, everybody. But I did that, and it really, like the last 2 weeks, it just crushed it. So until I get like a smaller one again, I probably won't play with it again, because I think I only made like $150 off of that. And in my head, like $150 is great and it can be very useful for a lot of people, but the time it takes me to put my content together, post and everything, I thought, time for dollar kind of aspect there, the ROI wasn't there for me. So I'm like, I could do something else, less time, and make more than $150. So I'm like, I'd rather more people see my content and get help from it than make $150, if that makes sense. So that
makes perfect sense. And you shared a very similar experience to what I've had. It'll go great the first 2 weeks and maybe 3 weeks. And then after that, it's like, because I've actually looked at the math. I broke down how much cost per 1,000 views I was getting. And initially I was getting about, for every 1,000 views, I was probably getting like $10 to $15. And then it cut down to like 35 cents.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it'll literally like cut from on Monday, you're high, and Tuesday, you're low. And they won't give you any rhyme or reason when it happens.
Mm-hmm.
The number that you just quoted, about 150, I float generally between 100 and 175.
Yeah.
Generally, that it's almost like as soon as it hits 100, it cuts off and you're making pretty much pennies at that point.
Yeah. And I know that actually, if anybody is on Facebook, I'm not a Facebook person, but if you are on Facebook, a lot of accounts have more access to the Facebook bonus program for Reels. And I hear that the money is much better over there. So if this is like a money thing for you, save your Reels or repurpose them over onto Facebook, and you'll probably end up making more money than you would from the Reels bonus play program on Instagram. Just putting that out there. Go over to Facebook, edit on Facebook, like before you put the text on it and everything, after you've recorded it, save it in that screen, and then go over to Facebook with it. I don't have the time for that, so I don't, just putting it out there.
Yeah, perfect. I like that. I like that suggestion. The tidy trainer jumped in and said, same. I think it caps at $100. I think you might be right about that. I definitely think it caps at a certain point around $100. As much as the money might not be as high as we're expecting, it is working. In regards to Instagram, the creators are getting paid and is incentivizing more people to create Reels, which is what they ultimately want. When you be looking at it in that perspective, it is actually working. But with all of the pros and cons that we just stated that we are affected by, for good or for bad, I want to know from you guys, simply with a thumbs up in the comments or a thumbs down. Would you still want to be a part of the Reels bonus program? Are you still interested in it? After we just discussed, it may not be as favorable as many people are expecting. Go ahead and put it in the comments with a thumbs up if you want to still be a part of the program. I will let Adam or Siri know if you put the thumbs up. I got the hookup.
Right.
But if not, go ahead and put a thumbs down. I perfectly understand.
And also, I just want to say, like, everybody, test it out. Like, if you do get access to it, test it out and have some fun with it. Just because there's some cons and everything doesn't mean that you shouldn't take advantage. I mean, $150 is great for a lot of people, especially around this time of year. And if you're already producing that content, put it out there. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's a really great point that you brought up. It's something to help. So like I always like to say, please take our suggestions, our advice, move forward with them in the best way it will benefit your content, your business, and step your gram up. If you got any value from that conversation about Instagram Reels bonus, show a little love and support by hitting the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you won't miss my latest videos. If you want to learn more about Instagram Reels bonuses, check out the playlist that's on the screen, and I hope to see you in the next video.